What you see to look upon this house is coloured by your expectation. Many houses, seen and marked, and each with less force than the first to tease and shape the template in your mind. From time to time that mould seems broken, and you form new paradigms, forget the old, that still work silently to guide your mind. The front is grey and trimmed with brown. The grey was white, the trim is peeling. Once there had been Christmas lights and other things attached, so there remains a surfeit of little hooks and nails. The eaves-trough slumps, its soffit tattered, the shingles on the roof still whole, though pitch had been employed on some parts at the back. But this is not visible from the street, nor what you think as you can see a strange and eye-like attic window, blind since none looks out, nor will, upon the sky. If you had stayed and watched each time in season, you might see a bat fly out, or hear the squirrel scamper on the roof. And you might see a season's dust fall on the porch, but little used, until belatedly it's swept and washed. There was a heavy door that hung until not long ago, and then fell off its hinges. Thus can sudden ill befall what else was hale, and yet the rest remains. And from outside you see, and if like me, you are not pleased to note the angle of the downspout from the eave that shuns all beauty for the practical, a house thus made for narrow purposes, but well located for my needs, and sitting in a pretty street with elms and elders arching over hounces of gentility, a couple grand, and others moderate in size, if fanciful in style. A turret opposite reminds of castles, and the red brick of two corner houses richly decks their opulence. And others seem for art and fancy more than just to hold at bay the prairie wind and winter cold, nor shelter from the summer sun, all unlike mine, this house of mine, whose broadest windows lie beneath an eave so deep that shields the porch and seems to think illumination is a needless toy, extravagance or else electric light preferred. My house is rude and squat, and glares with heavy brow upon the street around. Its chimney has seen better days and needs repair or closing off, since I don't use the fireplace, and inside, through it, I hear the wind moan in the night, and sometimes rain will drop upon the hearth. A tarnished hand of brass that you can lift will let a harsh noise fall upon the ears within, and even if I'm in there, I may not answer, for I'm variable in mood, activity, preoccupation. But now, just wait, the door opens, and I know you, welcome you in, and in you come. A broad and light-filled vestibule, unless you come at night, with gentle orange walls, a great south window that redresses the other's meanness of deep eaves, and a place to lay clothes, and remove your shoes in a wet or muddy season. Descending left, a stair that's grey and carpeted, and down beneath your feet the tiles are broad, of earthenware, square, solid, cold, and here the ceiling low and white with rows of tiny holes, perhaps for ventilation? I don't know, nor ever shall. This is a skin forever new to me, a shell of other beasts than I, part hermit crab, part actor of a brighter role, whose reputation fits but one part or another, never whole, as mercurial about the world I go. There is a mirror in the vestibule, within the cupboard that lies open there, and through the coats and shirts your image wanders back at you, and gives you pause that you should look thus, hidden in a glade of hanging clothes, your face not like the last time that you looked. Or else the little door is closed, no coats are seen, and you can look within, past French doors little used, into the house whose ceilings rise much higher than the front, and great square beams delineate. You enter further, and a long room stretches to the right, a fireplace at the end, though little used. And here I have my bed, and recently have made it all much simpler. Still the piles of books and papers on the shelves, and on a bench there. Elsewhere, though, it's cleaner than it used to be, and nothing lies upon the floor. I have more places for my things, and have a kind of sense, if nascent, that each object has its place, and should be there as soon as used. You'll see upon the floor the case of my guitar, and armchairs in the corners, and a green one in the middle, when I sit, unless I'm chill, in which case by the radiator I can drag a footstool, sit, my back to too much heat, that I can bear, though ill, until it warms me up. My place habitually is in that chair, that great green chair, and see the turret through the warped window panes, and there I sit, and write or view or discourse with the people in my life. And in this room, a floor of yellow oak, and prints and paintings on the walls, and lined with bookshelves too. I have a sense of being who I am, and all that lacks is near to hand, or that I can step out and run or cycle, or drive to the pool, or go to where love waits, or, more than these it seems, to go to work, a pleasant place, a walk away, where yet preserves some arts that die elsewhere from dwindling appreciation. I can rise and leave my chair, as when you knocked but minutes earlier, and take you in, and greet you, and bid you be at home. And as you entered, you must see, ahead, the house that stretches open through the dining room, with couch, piano, rough and steady table, and computer waiting empty-eyed against the wall, and still the narrow kitchen, and off to the right from there 2 bedrooms, used but by my children, as I now have horror for such little caves of purpose made, for dying or for intimacy, and not zones where I might wax in fullness. Nothing left, no facet lost, omitted from my general sense. And there a bathroom, walls of orange, echoing what you had seen, not but in entering, but also in the kitchen, bright, beneath the many cabinets upon the walls. The ceiling green, a thick pipe in the corner painted pink, to hold at bay the starkness of the task, the soft reverberation of the childhood dread, to see the plug-hole drain to utter darkness and constraint, amid the white, devoid of pity, of the porcelain. Again, below, the tiles like in the vestibule, to somehow change the expectations more, and give a sense of earth and life to all the dying places of the home. And you must spend some time to know we cannot sit at tables in the kitchen here. There is no width to let us, and that still, a sign of all the other things that hold beyond their meaning or their sense, gives me a discontent, regret, a sense of nothing ever being right but momentarily, when in the time of triumph, or having the sweet anodyne of love. And this house has a basement, with 2 entrances, and now you step down narrow stairs and watch your head, emerge to crusted lime on floors that flooded years before, and still can feel some seepage in a storm. The right shows furnaces, the beating heart of all the house, for heating water for our washing, and for sending water hotter still through pipes to all the radiators. Here, amid this heat, 1 pipe is cold, and still seems cold, whatever season, colder than it ought. And I can't tell the source, or rather whence the absence of the heat that otherwise abounds. Perhaps some quality of metal that the others lack, that leaves it thus to my fingertips. You can, if you've a mind, believe it supernatural, or else a symbol of what otherwise we'd like to keep mysterious, to hold in reverential awe, but as a sign, a soft reminder, that there may be other ways to think, to feel, or else some lurking horror, emblem of implacably remote intelligence, that neither cares nor can identify, but coldly builds, and runs, and then destroys the mechanisms of the universe, from tiny speck to all the great and wheeling vastness of the galaxies in space-creating clusters. One that understands the awful ratios that govern what we are, can see and know, and all that lies about, and cannot wonder, but must ever be and go unwitting in their courses. Here a little room for storage, and here stored indeed old papers on a table, in some boxes raised above the floor for fear of flood, and something primitive and cruel that shines in brown and red on the untreated boards by bulb light, or is painted smooth and grey, and knows not pity, nor ever shall. The furnace beats and roars, but little of this noise can pass beyond the floors, and think, make music, have our meals and pastimes in the upper world of light. The furnace has its balance that I fear to touch, and pipes and gauges that display the efficacy of some plan of long-dead engineer, and go with little cause for worry. Though there was a time the pilot light went out, and someone from the rougher world of practicality was brought to show me how it went and what to do, and still I know, and sometimes wonder at this one of many remedy, my solitary piece of lore against chill failure, knowing all must fail, and some may be preserved, but only for a while. In darkness one can see the glow beneath, while there the low and steady roar builds heat to keep us in a tiny tropical domain. My thoughts are thus cocooned, and all I do and say is safe, or thinks it is, within a little space, or air and light and hope, where I can think of things beyond the grasp of those who toil to keep us warm, to keep us safe, if for a while. We know their worth to us, if they can scarcely grasp how art or science can be a fundament of all the tools they use, the measurements they take, the metallurgy or the lore that gives them force to ape the primitive and make simplicity with stuff that came from subtlety. And that but science. How to show the value of our art to those for whom a tune is but a beating rhythm for some word to be declaimed somehow in pitch. How to make the link between the best of all of us in all domains, and how we lose a portion of collective understanding at each fall of history, each crumbling of the old beneath simplistic vigour and impatience. And yet how it might build again, if not so smashed, though aeons take in mending what was torn, discovering anew what might be builded on. The laundry room is cluttered. Here a wall is given over to the boxes that much on the upper floor had come in, and might thence depart, in some time when even I, the part-time hermit, might bestir myself and move. And there a punching bag that hangs from a beam, and got to draw the ire of children who had else hurt but each other, some quixotic scheme to discipline their violence until it might abate, that also involved boxing gloves and padded helmets, gumshoes, and some rules to lessen bruises and shaming. And the great machines that wash and dry, now simple, so that laundry day is but a minute's chore and then a minute more for drying. Here, beneath the plumbing, too, foul water has its exit, sometimes overflowing where it ought to go, and thus it is a dank spot, not a place to hide with glee, not where I might store treasures or the like. From here a door goes back, and there is a kitchen, smaller than the upper one, but well enough equipped, and not much used except once in a while. Its lines are simple, clean, and in the middle of the basement of the house it hardly sees but light from bulbs and tubes, and thence to a broad and carpeted living room, with an unused gas fireplace set in heavy stones, and armchairs and a couch. There we used to play our dancing games, and there I store my less used bike and old computers, loath as always to throw out what has value, and in one of them a hard drive still with work of mine from long ago, and not all got before it suffered damage. But for that small store of former toil and history I might have found a way to rid me of the whole damn lot, impatient as I am with keeping things, yet sometimes helpless to decide what should be lost for good. Here is the place where a broad desk has yet another computer, and the modem that supplies the house with data through the air that I and children and our guests can use to contact all the world. Another bedroom, small and square, and nice enough, but I don't care for basements anymore. Although my son has wondered if he might make for himself this lower place, and entertain his school friends there. But only for some seasons as the school years swiftly pass. Well, we shall see. And thence, again, the stairs you spotted as you entered, rising up to light, and back, to sit with me a while, before you have to leave.